too much. I mean, when it's not, when I'm being serious. And I don't like the Doomsay very much, but the companion mechanic's pretty wild. It's just insane. We just played a Lurrus deck on Mog Monday. We won almost every round pretty easily. I've played them in limited now. Every draft I've had one, I've just totally warped my draft around it, and I think I have 7 wins basically every time with them. I played the standard Lotus Box tournament yesterday, where I was an idiot and didn't play Companion. Stupid. And, of course, the Lurrus Companion deck won the tournament. The top 8 was like 6 Companion decks out of 8. And this is only the first few days. And so I want to talk a bit about Companion as a mechanic, kind of explain why it's so good. And I also want to explain what I think is a possible fix for it, because I don't think it's sustainable right now. I think that I appreciate WotC trying new things. Totally. I'm all about it. Magic's been around for a long time, and in order for it to keep staying around for a long time, you got to keep trying new things, got to keep pushing boundaries. I'm all about that. Totally all about that. But the way the Companion was done is a major issue. So, quick rundown real fast. Companion, there are 10 cards in Ikoria that are Companions. You can see them, 2 of them right here, 2 of the best ones. And basically, they each have a deck building restriction. Where you need to follow a certain deck building guideline, and if you do, you get to have one of the companion cards in your sideboard, and you get to start the game with a card off to the side in exile, sort of like a commander. However, once you cast it, it becomes part of the game, and that's it. If it gets killed, it goes to the graveyard. It gets balanced, it goes to your hand, etc., etc. So, what happens is, your companion effectively ends up being an 8th card in your hand. So you are already up 1 card in your opponent for free. Not for free, it's like the deck building costs, but you start the game with 8 cards, and if they don't have a companion, they start with 7 cards, which is a huge advantage. That's number 1, and that's really hard to undersell, because I don't think the average Magic player really conceptualizes how good that is. Take the companion, the Gruul Companion, which is a 5-mana 5/5. The deck building restriction is you need to have only single symbols in your deck. So you can't have a Goblin Chainwhirler, that's red, but you can have a Terminate, red-black, or a Niv Mizzet Reborn, one of each color. If your deck can play that card, like for example, Humans in Modern can play that card for free. Tron in Modern can play that card for free. If you can play this card, it's off to the side and just have this 5/5. You think to yourself, what's this, a Colossus Beam? Why would I care about this 5/5? Well, it's just an extra card. So in those games where things are really close, those games where you mulligan, or you're a little behind on resources, or you're in a tight game where you're trading resources, I'll just play this 5/5 that I happen to have over here. Oops. And that swings the game completely, because even though it's not the best card ever, it's not actually a card. It's just like a piece of material that comes in from the Aether, and it's just here, and you get to use it. So the deck building restrictions on a lot of them aren't even that hard, which makes this extra card thing a real problem, because WotC had to toe the line between, if they're too hard to play, people won't play them, but if they're too easy to play, then they're just a problem. And I think we're in a problem right now. So we're seeing it in every format. Lurrus right here has been played in almost every Modern and Legacy deck. It won the Standard one, because playing a deck with permanents only 2 or less, a lot of decks already do this. Modern Burn, for example. Modern Burn, without any changes to the deck at all, can just put this card in their sideboard, have a free copy of it, have this free spell. That's kind of the issue, is that like having this free spell available is making the payoff is not, I'm playing a Lurrus deck, this is really cool, I'm going to build my deck around this. The payoff is, I want an 8th card, and I'll do anything to get it, basically. And that's where the problem is. That's the flaw in the mechanic. And it's the material. The deck I played in the Lotus Box tournament yesterday was a blue-red control deck with no champion or companion, and I just couldn't keep up on cards. Like, I was trying to 1-for-1 everyone to death, and all my opponent had 8 cards in their hand, and I only had 7. So it's a problem, and I think it's a cool idea for a mechanic, but it's just not executed properly. However, we can fix this. Now, when Oko is printed, you can't fix it. We're not Hearthstone. We can't go in. We can't change the numbers. We can't, if you could. Oko is actually a very well designed card. I think Oko is actually a very cool card. The problem is Oko's not a very well developed card. The numbers on the card are too high. They aren't right. If Oko, instead of being +2, +1, -5 for the loyalty counts, was +1, -1, -5, I think it's a fun, interesting card that would see play, but not like great. The problem is you can't just change that. There are a million Okos that are printed all over the world. They say +2, +1. If you were to errata that, things get really confusing, and I agree that you can't really do that. It's not in a paper game. We just can't do that. Like, it's not a. You can't have a player walk into a store, open a pack of cards, take the card out, and go to play it, and someone's like, "Oh, actually, actually, that's actually a +1 and a -1," and they go, "What? This isn't what the card says." So, when it comes to fixing cards, it's a problem. But nothing on these cards says anything about the actual companion rule. What it says is companion restriction. It says if this card is your chosen companion, you may cast it once from outside the game. That's all it says. So, I propose the fix to companion is to change the rule and make it so instead of it being an 8th card outside of the game, it's part of the problem also is you can't interact with it, you can't thought seize it, it's not part of the game yet. This part is a little muddy, but the real problem is it's the 8th card, and it's free card advantage for every deck that can do it, and the opportunity cost, it's supposed to be an opportunity cost thing, right? It's supposed to be, well, here's this card, you get an 8th card, but the opportunity cost is you got to build your deck around it. But the reality is the opportunity cost in deck building is more so, can I play this deck that doesn't have a companion? Because can I afford to be down 1 card? That's the real opportunity cost, and that's a problem. So we can change the rule so that instead of having it as it is right now, if you have a companion, at the start of the game you reveal it, you draw 1 less card than you would normally, and then you add the companion to your hand. Now you have 7 cards. We're still doing the cool restriction. We still get access to the card every game, because that's part of it too. Part of it is having the ability to build your deck around this card you always have. That's fine. So, start the game, reveal your companion, you draw 6 cards. If you mulligan, you go to draw 5 cards, and then you add the companion to your hand. Alternatively, you could do like 7 cards, and then scry 1 to the bottom, and then take your companion. I think that's fine too. Alternatively, you could just have it in exile, and start with 6 cards in your hand. That's fine too. I'm actually cool with any of those. But the reality is, the issue with this mechanic is being up a card at the start of a game is not reasonable, and it's so warping the gameplay that, again, like I said, the opportunity cost is, can I afford to not play a companion? And that's just not okay. We're seeing it in every format already. People haven't even figured out how to use these cards properly yet. So I think it should be, show your card face up, you draw 1 less card, add it to your hand. I think other...
It won't matter. This guy wants to get fired, Michael Rosewater, because the design is, my idea is the best because I say so and think so. That's not gonna work.